Honourable Senators, I too rise to speak on Bill C-7, which will provide the RCMP members with a union and the right to organize that they have been denied for over many years. In particular, I rise today to speak on the other places' response to the amendments presented here. I'm particularly pleased that the other places accepted our amendment to remove restrictions on what may be included in collective agreements and arbitral awards for the RCMP. In my second reading speech, I spoke at length about the many areas that C-7 prohibited as an area of discussion for RCMP bargaining agents. Each of these areas was central to the job, such as law enforcement techniques, transfers from one position to another, appointments, appraisal, probation, discharges, and demotions, conduct including harassment. The basic requirements for carrying out the duties of an RCMP officer or a reservist. The uniform order of dress, equipment, or medals of the RCMP. During this case, the court ruled that the RCMP members deserved a meaningful process of collective bargaining, meaning that they could engage in discussions with their employer to talk about the parts of their job that mattered most to them. I truly believe that this is the case now. To explain why this is so important, I would like to focus on the issue of harassment, which can now be an area of discussion now that our amendment has been accepted. When we first examined this Bill C-7, it was by far the one restriction that concerned me the most. In 2013, our Standing Committee on National Security and Defense had already determined that sexual harassment was a huge problem within the RCMP. Between 2005 and 2011, 718 complaints were filed by employees, with well over half being from women that spoke of sexual harassment, bullying, and abuse. We also frequently hear horrifying stories in the news. There are women who receive unwanted sexual comments and contacts and are often unable to do anything about it because they risk losing their jobs if they speak out. In many cases, their superiors were either involved or indifferent to the situation. There are women who are forced into sexual relationships, threatened that they have to accept if they wish to keep their jobs. No one was safe, not even Catherine Galliford, who was one of RCMP's highest profile spokeswomen from my province of British Columbia. Ongoing harassment in the workplace forced her to accept medical discharge as she struggled to deal with severe PTSD. When we studied the issue of harassment from the RCMP, became even further convinced that we had to address this issue. We heard from 3 women who were involved in the class action lawsuits against the RCMP: Janet Merlo, Linda Davidson, and Sherry Benson Podolak. Each of them had their own horror stories, and each of them was clear on one issue: the RCMP must not continue to handle this issue internally. Barring classic cultural change, this kind of harassment would continue if the RCMP does not have an external body to tackle this issue. We were also told quite clearly that we must ensure that harassment be part of collective agreements. I would like to share Linda Davidson's answer when she was asked whether it was acceptable to exclude harassment from Bill C-7, ensuring that these cases would only be handled internally. And she said, and I quote, "No, absolutely no, not. There needs to be an outside independent group of individuals who examine the wrong type of behavior that's occurring. We cannot let police ourselves, nor should we even try. Bring it in an independent body and definitely let them deal with it," end of quote. Now that this amendment has been accepted, I'm pleased to say that the RCMP's collective bargaining agent may now act as another force to stand up against this horrifying issue. The members of the RCMP will have more support. This is an important first step towards creating the change needed to make the RCMP a harassment-free and environment-safe workplace. Honorable Senators, I know of many young women who aspire to work with the RCMP. My own daughter-in-law, Shalina Jairaj, works in the RCMP, and she always tells me what an honor it is for her and other women to work for the RCMP. It is our job to make sure that it is a safe place for all women to work in. Honorable Senators, many people are waiting for us to pass Bill C-7. The Supreme Court has given us the mandate to provide them with legislation that will allow them to the RCMP to unionize. Women members in the RCMP are waiting for a collective bargaining agent that will let them speak out against the issue of harassment. The members of the RCMP who work hard every day, often risking life and limb to protect us Canadians from those who would harm us, are waiting on us to provide them with the means to improve their workplace, to make their workplace a safe environment. Honourable Senators, I ask you in joining me to support this bill. Thank you.